Hey everyone, before we get started today, I just wanted to introduce myself. My name's Eric and I live in Chicago, and I'm a pretty big sports fan, particularly in the area of baseball and football. So, what I want to try to do tonight is to give my own opinion on some fantasy football tips. Because I'm 27 right now, and I've been playing fantasy football since I was 13. So, I don't mean to be too cocky, but I like to know that I like to think that I know a lot about it. And yeah, anyways, this is my first time posting a YouTube video, so it's not gonna be the best, but I'll try to do my best. Okay, first off, what I want to do tonight is keep it, let everyone know about the top 10 quarterbacks, or at least what I think are the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL currently. Right now, number one, I have ranked Aaron Rodgers simply because, well, he has what I think are he doesn't really have the best receivers, but because Aaron Rodgers himself is basically he's pretty smart, and I think he makes his receivers what they are. In particular, I'm talking about Greg Jennings and Donna. Crap, I don't know his name right off the top of my head. I think it's Greg Jennings and Jordy Nelson. Yeah, that's the guy. Okay, number two, I got ranked Drew Brees. I really, to be honest, I had a hard time between between Rodgers and Brees, which one to rank number one. But I think Rodgers is number one in my mind because when I rank my top tens, I like to rank them by if they have a good supporting cast around them. And to me, a number one quarterback is someone who can sort of say make more with less. And I think Rodgers makes more with less. So yeah, Brees has weapons around him. Not saying he's not smart or anything because he certainly is. But he's got Marquez Colston, Marquez Colston is a stud when he's healthy. And the other thing you gotta keep in thought here is that they lost Robert Mitchum, who I think was, in my opinion, pretty underrated given the offense that he was in. So, anyways, yeah, he's got Colston around him, and he's got Devery Henderson, and up until last week, he got hurt. Up until last week when he got hurt, he had Jimmy Graham, who I have as a top tight end, who I'll get more into depth about later in my broadcast, or maybe in another one. I'm not sure how I'm gonna work that out. So he's also got Darren Sproles, who works out of the backfield as a receiver. He's not doing a whole lot yet this year, but I think he'll pick up. The Saints in general have been off to an awful start, but I think they're starting to pick it up a little bit. Okay, and number three, I got Matt Ryan. So maybe I should again the top three. It's hard to rank because Matt three again. He's one of those guys I talked about. He has Julio Jones and he has Roddy White, but after that he doesn't really. Well, I'm forgetting Tony Gonzalez too, but other than that, he really doesn't have anything. Matt Ryan is a guy who people like to consider a game manager. Well, instead of just going out and bombing it, he throws short passes and kind of controls the game clock so that their defense, which to be honest isn't very good. So, yeah, anyways, that's it on that. Number four, I have people are gonna call me crazy here because a lot of people say that Tom Brady is number one, but I have him number four because again he's he's Tom Brady. You all know, there really isn't much to explain about him if you're a football fan. He is what he is. So yeah, that's that. His only real good his I shouldn't say good. He's got Wes Welker, who's obviously a good receiver, and he has Rob Gronkowski and Aaron Hernandez, who are two good tight ends. Of course, we're not getting into in this portion of the broadcast, but anyways, yeah, that's that. And number 5, I got Eli Manning, of course. Eli Manning's a good quarterback, but I have him ranked down a little bit. Not really. It's not really his fault. I have him ranked down more as if it's more because of the fact that all of his receivers have been injured. I mean, Hakeem Nicks has been out since last year with his Lisfranc foot injury, and he's still coming back from that. Actually, he recovered from that. I apologize for that. He came back from that, then he hurt his knee. They're hoping to have him back next week, but yeah, that and he's got Victor Cruz still, who I think is to be honest, I think he's a lot of people say he's overrated because of the way he played last year. But honestly, I think he's over. If anything, he's underrated. He's still a guy who goes out there and has good games, even against bad defenses. Okay, the number 6, I got Jay Cutler, number 6. You can all pretty much. I'm a Bears fan, and even I have him number 6 because, to be honest, his best year is this year. He's really been a guy who's been, he's been. Okay, if you know the Bears, you know about Sid Luckman, and Cutler has been portrayed as the next Sid Luckman. Personally, I think all that pressure got into his head a little bit, and he goes into every game thinking he has to be like the best quarterback ever. But yeah, I think the other problem with the Bears is their offensive line is just horrible. So he's getting sacked a lot of times. It's cost him some injuries, of course. But yeah, this year they're slowly but surely they're improving their offensive line. So what we're seeing is we're seeing the offensive line improve, and as an effect of that, we're seeing Cutler's performance improving. To be honest, quicker than a lot of people thought, quicker than what I thought. I thought the whole Brandon Marshall thing was just hype, but those two have really clicked on. Even you also have to figure with the Bears, they also have Johnny Knox, who's been injured since last year. They were in last year. Johnny, up until now, with Brandon Marshall coming in, Johnny Knox was their top receiver, but again, he's been injured since last year, and he's probably not. From what I'm hearing, unless the Bears make it really deep in the playoffs, he might not play till next year. That's what I'm hearing. So yeah, that's where we are on that. Then number 7, I got. Let's see who I got. Sorry, I don't memorize my list. Number 7, I got Joe Flacco, number 7. Which, to be honest, if I go back in a couple of days and update this list, Joe Flacco will probably be higher. Simply because he's one of those guys. Again, I mentioned quarterbacks who do more with less. All that Flacco really has is he's got Torrey Smith, who came out of nowhere last year and just lit the world on fire. I don't like to use corny phrases, but he was underrated, obviously, last year. Then they had Todd Heap, who was one of the best tight ends around for a while, and he left via free agency. And they got this Dennis Pitta kid who's really stepped up and filled in the void there. Then the only other really adequate receiver they have is Anquan Bolden. They still have him, but he's more of a possession receiver. He's not a guy who you're going to throw a short pass to and zoom it down the field like Torrey Smith does. So yeah, Flacco, he does a lot. He does a lot of work with he he does a lot with what he's given. So next I got Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning, if this was 3 or 4 years ago, he'd be number one. He'd probably in the top 3 years ago. But y'all know the story on him. He busted his neck last year. He busted his neck up real badly, and I don't mean to sound critical, but to be honest, I don't think he should really be playing. I mean, I'm not decreeing the fact that I'm not decreeing the I'm not sorry, I'm a little nervous here against my first video. Um, I'm not decreeing his choice to come back at all. I mean, I saw him especially in the first game he played. He looked like it was like he never left. Granted, that was I don't remember exactly who it was he played that game. It was like one of the first 2 games. He had a very bad. Granted, he had a bad defense. He had a good matchup. They were playing. I think it was the Chiefs. To be honest, I think it was the Chiefs game I saw him, and they're not a very good. They don't have a very good secondary. So granted, it was against a bad defense, but he's been pretty well in all his other games. The one weakness I'm noticing from him is that it takes him till like the second half before he fully gets into his game. I'm not sure what's up with that, but he's got good receivers around him. That's one of the reasons I have him ranked low is because I mean, I'm not trying to, bash on Peyton, but I think any quarterback around could. They've got Eric Decker, who's another underrated receiver, I think, and the Colts went out and brought up Peyton's old tight end from Indianapolis, Jacob Tamme, who came in with all the hype, and he really hasn't done anything. The tight end that's getting more targets is Joe Dreesen, the old backup tight end in Houston. He's been the one stepping up, besides Eric Decker. Okay, then next we got. Yeah, I'm gonna get dogged for this one. I have Matt Schaub listed number 8 out of my 10. And the main reason I have him so low, he's a good quarterback. I'm not decreeing that. His only real weapon is Andre Johnson and Owen Daniels when he's healthy. Owen Daniels. Other than that, they're flicking short screens all over the place. And I gotta be honest about Andre. Sorry to talk about a receiver here. Andre Johnson's play the last 3 years has gone down every single year. I think they really need to get whether through free agency or through the draft, they have to get a new number 1 receiver for Matt Schaub, because right now he's not playing to his full potential. He's not playing the way he was 2-3 years ago, and I think it's because of the fact that when Andre Johnson is on the field, they're double covering him a lot, and they don't really have a number 2 receiver, and they really need to address that going forward. Okay, number 9, I got Alex Smith. I'm gonna just warn the last 3. I'm gonna get dogged. I know I'm gonna get dogged because they're all supposed to be higher. I have Alex Smith from San Francisco ranked number 9 on my top 10. The reason for that is because, again, with Schaub, he doesn't really have a weapon. At least Matt Schaub has Andre Johnson. Alex Smith's best receiver, in my opinion, is Mario Manningham. And so far this year, he's not really doing anything special. They still have Michael Crabtree, but he's once again being a bust. He's always been a bust, but they still keep him around. After all that, I think their next best receiver is the tight end, Vernon Davis. So that's where I'm at with that. Then finally, number 10, I got Christian Ponder from Minnesota. I'll be honest. I thought Christian Ponder he was drafted way too high a couple of years ago. I don't know why. I thought to myself, why the heck are they bringing in Ponder to replace Donovan McNabb? That was my original thought. But now looking back at that, I yeah I see why they did that. He's the main thing I didn't like about Ponder was his injury history in college. When he was at Florida State, he was getting injured on a yearly basis. And it's not just that; it's the fact that he was always getting injured in the throwing shoulder, which obviously that is immediately a red flag. Obviously, well, anyways, I think this year he's really coming into his own. I mean, he doesn't have a lot of special receivers. I mean, for the first 3 weeks, he only had Percy Harvin and the tight end Rudolph. But they had Jerome Simpson from the Bengals, but he was suspended for the first 3 weeks for off the field issues that I won't go into depth about here because it's boring. But yeah, now that he has Jeremy Simpson on board, I think getting off tracks to getting into receivers a little bit, I think that Percy Harvin and Jerome Simpson are going to be a nice 1-2 punch. Okay, that's it for the quarterbacks. And since I'm going in on 16 minutes, I think that's gonna be one video. I think I'm gonna do separate videos. So I'll talk to you guys later. Feel free to leave comments, but try and keep it not harsh. I'll talk to y'all later.